And hey, great people, it's good to be here again. It's the Real Talk with Kike show. My name is Marshall Anthony Onoye. And some people who are very used to the program will be wondering, what is Marshall doing opening the show? Where is the lady I'd rather call Tomato Joss, our chief wife in the house? Well, I'll have you know that she's on vacation somewhere. Not just vacationing, but maybe getting her hands soaked and her head and brain soaked away somewhere to come back better and more prepared for the show to bring you the best. Once again, I am Marshall Anthony Onoye, and I hope to be doing justice to the show today. Well, interestingly, I am not alone. I've got me someone who is a guest co-host on the show today, if you may. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you Tolu Ajibade.
Hola. I don't know why people sometimes
Ajibola.
mistake that. Yes,
Tolu
Ajibola.
Ajibola, yes.
Yes.
Welcome
Glad to
the
be
show.
a guest host on the show,
Yes.
and it's nice to be on the show.
You look good, Tolu. And
You also look very handsome.
this is my this will be the first time I'll be on a table with you for a program, and I'm really looking forward to how the ride is going to be.
I'm sure it's definitely going to be smooth. It is.
Interesting. So do I let you do any talk of introduction for yourself?
Well,
because it's customarily when the chief host introduces you, maybe you say a few lines or two.
Okay, my name is Tolu Ajibola, and I'm the guest host on Real Talk with Kike this beautiful afternoon. And I'm sure we're going to be having a great time, and can't wait to get into what we'll be talking about. And it's tourism, I believe. Tourism, World Tourism Day.
Yes.
So that's very important. Like I said on my show earlier this morning, looking at the way tourism is in Nigeria and looking at the way tourism is abroad, there's a need for more support, especially here in Nigeria. I believe that local tourism can be better. That's the only way we can make more money as a country and, you know, stop depending on oil. So.
Okay, she's digging right into it already. Yes, but let's not just get into it already. That's a tip of the iceberg. Tolu just brought you more. We'll be bringing you a whole lot more as the show unfolds. First, as is customary on the show, we would take you into our Today in History, and then we'll bring you a message from our sponsors, and then we'll go full throttle on the show. Like I said, first, this day in history. Take a listen.
On this day last year in 2021, Serap asked Buhari to publish names of suspected looters of 6 trillion naira NDDC funds. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, to publish the names of those indicated in the alleged misappropriation of over 6 trillion naira funds for the running of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. It will be recalled the recent forensic audit report of the NDDC indicated some executives of the commission to have misappropriated the funds between the years 2000 and 2019. The organization urged the president to direct Malami and the appropriate anti-corruption agencies to promptly bring to justice anyone suspected to be responsible for the missing 6 trillion naira and to fully recover any misappropriated public funds.
Welcome back. It's the RTWK show, Real Talk with Kike show. I am Marshall Anthony Onoye, keeping it real here, like Kike would always like to say. Yeah, we're here keeping it real. I like that way she does that. Anyway, we're here keeping it real. And then you just had our On This Day in History, talking about SERAP and some CSOs calling on the president and the federal government to bring to book those persons that were said to have misappropriated funds with the NDDC. What have you got to say?
I remember when this story broke, and look at the amount of money that is stolen on a daily basis in Nigeria. It's just worrisome. But what we seem to have here is so much money stolen, no one is held accountable. And he was, of course, charged to court. What is the situation now? What is happening? What is the government doing? We just seem to have people who they put in place of responsibility and power, and money is taken and nothing is done about it. That's the country we're in. So when we do on this day in history, what is the solution? What is the way forward? How can our leaders be held accountable for the work and a lot of money that is put in their hands? You would expect more from Alami, but unfortunately, that is the hands we're dealt with, you know. You know,
people have harped on what happened recently in China with the sentencing to death of a minister who was said to have misappropriated funds, and have taken to social media to say, look, this is the kind of justice we need in Nigeria. This is the kind of hand we need to deal with the politicians who misappropriate government funds or public funds. Do you think that will, you know, bring corruption to a halt?
Well, because this is Nigeria, it's a very different terrain. I believe that in China, they're more accountable. Chinese people are more accountable. But when I heard the story, I was just really shocked, because imagine if the House of Rep or the House of Senate is going to have to pass that law. Would they want to pass it? Because they're also guilty of the same crime. So it's a very different situation. And our leaders are not ready for that level of responsibility. If you say, okay, anyone who is charged for this has to die by hanging, because they're the ones in charge doing all of these things. So I don't think it's something that we're ready for as a nation.
Okay.
Even though it seems like a very fast, it's a fast stretch, you know, for any country.
All right, all right. Well, I'd like to say that you're the one who said that the National Assembly members are guilty of this.
Well, we're not pointing fingers. Just saying that if you look at what is going on, it seems that the people in power are the ones who are
totally
guilty.
Understand
Not
you.
calling names.
I totally understand. All right, Tolu, it's about time for us to take a message from our sponsor as we come back to bring you full throttle of the show. Here's a message from our sponsors. Welcome back. When we started the show, you had our guest co-host talk about how today is the World Tourism Day, and that will be forming the crux of our discussion. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, and by extension the Lagos State Government, has announced the celebration of the 2022 World Tourism Day on Tuesday, 27 September 2022, being today, with the theme Rethinking Tourism. The Honorable Commissioner will use this as an opportunity to talk to us and our viewers on the World Tourism Day. Now, I just let a little cat out of the bag to let you know who would be our guest on today's show. But before I do more of that, I'd like us to see who she is by taking a listen or taking a look at her profile. Take a look at her profile. Welcome back. There you have it. Our guest today is Abiola Adelano. She is a tourism business manager for Sterling Bank. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What color is that you're wearing? Is that lilac or
It's lilac,
purple?
yeah. Lilac.
Yeah, I thought
It's
it was.
very beautiful.
Thank you.
Very beautiful. Yeah. Welcome to the show. And should I say Happy World Tourism Day?
Yes, please. Today is World Tourism Day, 2022.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Happy World Tourism Day.
Yeah,
now let's get off to the discussion. Let's take off from the theme, rethinking tourism. If I was left to, my own assumption, I would say it's because of the damage being done by COVID-19, the hospitality industry has been largely affected, and so world powers or nations of the world are rethinking how to revamp tourism. Well, let's hear from you.
Absolutely. Well said. So today is, every September 27th is World Tourism Day. And it might interest you to know that World Tourism Day was actually founded by a Nigerian man. His name is Atiku. Ignatius Atiku. Yeah, late Ignatius Atiku. And it's been celebrated worldwide. And the main purpose of celebrating World Tourism Day is actually for us to identify the problem within this space, prefer solutions, because beyond problem, because we are always quick at pointing out problems, prefer solutions and think about better ways on how we can actually galvanize and get better results in this space, because tourism is actually a very special sector where we can actually drive a lot of revenue as a nation, as individuals, and as stakeholders. Yeah. So, okay, that's about it.
I wanted to ask that, looking at World Tourism Day, what do you think should be different about this year? Because every year there's always a celebration.
So basically, to me, I posted something this morning. So as Nigerians, we love a lot of activities. We love to talk. We love activities and talk. So I think rethinking tourism means that time for us to act is just right now. Aside talking, we begin to act and change the narrative. In tourism, we have the education, we have agriculture, we have renewable energy. Everything around us is actually tourism. Tourism is very diverse, and there's a whole lot of opportunity in this space. Yeah.
Now in Africa, a report has it that the industry accounted for about 7% of the GDP, contributing $169 billion to its economy, and that's about the size of Cote d'Ivoire and I hear Kenya put together, their GDP put together. When the COVID-19 hit, a lot of sectors were given bailout. One industry that sought bailout by itself was the tourism industry. In fact, stakeholders had called out to say, look, bail us out. We do know that the airline industry, the aviation industry, had about 4 billion dollars, I think, pumped into it as well. But the tourism industry kept, grappling with the effects of the COVID-19. How, in your own senses or in your own explanation or words, would you say that we can begin to come back from the effects of COVID-19?
Just like you said, the bailout is very important. And bailout in this regard doesn't mean loan, because commercial loan might not do it for this sector. I know Lagos State, out of several other states, Lagos State is kind of trying. They gave some kind of bailout, but I don't know how far that actually went around that space. But this space, they need grants. They need some kind of financial and some economical offerings. And that is where financial sector comes in. And that is where the government sector comes in too. As governments, their role is actually to come up with some policies that will actually help this industry to actually gain more and have more profitable business in this space. Because if the policies are not right, they will actually not ever break even in their business. Okay. And for financial institution, our role is actually to create financial offerings, prep this industry to position them to be able to get grants, international grants. I'm not sure if there's any grants that is actually focused for this industry as we speak today. I'm not sure there's any grants for this industry as it is today. And that is because the industry is actually very wide and diverse, where we tend to do things, everybody wants to just do things in their own ways, rather than for us to collaborate and see, oh, how do we have a working document? Do we have a vision as a country for tourism space? Because it is when we have a vision that we begin to say, oh, okay, if tourism is our agenda, then we begin to do all of our activities will be tailored to ensuring that we have a sustainable tourism business
Okay,
And,
I'm
yeah.
even more particular about what the government is doing, government policies, and how it affects tourism in Nigeria, and partnership with some of these financial institutions. I know that the government obviously has a certain amount of money that they put aside for tourism, but do you think it's enough? Is it enough? Is it practicable? And even you, I'm sure you represent the financial institutions. Are they really, really servicing the tourism industry in Nigeria?
Well, I don't want to speak for the government, but I'm not sure it's actually sufficient. And that's because I'm not sure as a country we have a vision. I don't know. I'm not sure if we have a vision. And if we do have a vision, I'm not sure that we are really pushing our vision. We're not working on our vision to ensure that we save this industry. And this is an industry that can actually earn the whole nation a whole lot of revenue if we actually take it. Are we marketing Nigeria, for example? Do we believe in Nigeria? A lot of bad publicity about Nigeria. There's no agents that say, no, okay, these are the kind of information that needs to go out. Nigeria is not the worst country in the world, no. There are several other countries that are worse than Nigeria. The people still visit them, and we have so many great things that works for us as a nation.
Okay, just so we're clear, because when you say, do we have a vision? So someone who's listening is not taking your word to mean Nigerians or Nigeria doesn't have vision. We're talking about the tourism industry. And I think at this juncture, it will be right for me to open up the phone lines and have our viewers call in, having established what our topic of discussion is.
Okay.
Let's bring in our viewers to this discussion and let's have them contribute their 1 cent on the matter. World Tourism Day is what we're talking about. We've got a guest in the studio who is a tourism business manager from Sterling Bank. She is talking about what is happening within the industry, especially as it concerns the Lagos State government, because that is where your financial institution is domiciled and doing a few things. I would like to know what you make of this as our viewers. Call us in. Let's have your thoughts. So much has been said about how the tourism industry has got experiencing a setback. How can we get it back on its feet, and how can we even begin to, sell Nigeria, like my guest was saying? But first, we'd have to take a very quick break, and then when we return, Tolu, myself, and our guest will still be here. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the RTWK show, and Tolu is still here. Myself is still here, and our guest as well, still here. Now, before the break, we did open up our phone lines, and we did say that you can call us in and contribute on the topic of discussion, World Tourism Day, and how to get it back on its feet. Now, time was when Nigeria stood tall, not just amongst other African countries, even with some subterranean countries and even some Western and European countries. Dubai all of a sudden sprang up from nowhere, the dry desert, and I hear that they even have water more than even some nations of the world. And then talk about the beauty and the projection of tourism and the projection of the nation itself. How can we have a Dubai in Nigeria? Talking about tourism.
My question is it even possible?
Is it possible?
Because she spoke about the vision of other countries and said the vision. And we're not really selling the vision of Nigeria. You said Dubai is it reality? Okay,
so everything boils down to leadership. And when we're talking leadership, people think it's only the government. So leadership, we are all leaders. Our leaders, do they really have vision? If you want to run a company, for example, you must have a vision.
Yes.
And you begin to work towards your vision. All of your activities will actually be
geared towards it.
Geared towards your vision. In Nigeria today, what is our vision? Is our vision to be the best country in the world, in Africa anyway? Don't let's just say world, because we're probably going too far. And
we're the giant of Africa.
Absolutely. And not to say, we know that Nigerians are very smart people. We are very creative. See what our entertainers are doing. They're making us proud and everything. All we need is just to change the narrative in leadership, and let them begin to actually take ownership and begin to change the narratives,
But speaking of changing the narrative, I know that as much as we're celebrating World Tourism Day, there's some of the challenges that are facing. Insecurity is a huge challenge, and looking at all the beautiful spots that we have in Nigeria, I mean, from Lagos to Osun State, there's so many wonderful spots, but insecurity is a major challenge. People don't want to visit those places.
We keep saying insecurity. I'm very patriotic when it comes to Nigeria. Not to say that there's no problem in Nigeria. Yeah, there is, but just like every other country, there are insecurity challenges. There are some places you can visit within Lagos, for crying out loud, and everything. But we know that government needs to fix their own, but we as people, we need to change our mindsets. You know, how many times do we on our own say, oh, I'm taking my children to my village? Some people, just last month, several Brazilians came to Nigeria to visit Osun, Osogbo. You know, we have the culture that works for us. We have our heritage. We don't have all of the high-rising buildings like Dubai. Can we concentrate on what we have, you know, and begin to leverage on what we have? We have the creative industry, we have the creative sector, we have the adire, we have the fashion industry, we have so many things that we can actually use to attract foreigners to our country. But we need to actually just change the kind of information we give out.
You know, Tolu, so someone once said, I was listening to a conversation, and someone once said that why the dollar has the value and power it has is because the people, the custodians, the owners of the dollar respect the dollar. They have the value for the dollar. And why the naira doesn't have the value that it should have is because the custodians and the owner do not attach that value. And so that brings me to the question as to, like you've said, that look, we should sell ourselves. We should sell our own. Tolu, when next you're thinking of vacationing abroad, you know, I'll remind me to hold
how many people can actually afford a ticket to UK
That's the question.
Economic ticket is over 1 million.
I mean, at the beginning of this year, if you say you want to travel to Dubai, there was a certain amount. Now you can't even go to Dubai if you're below 40. So these are some of the.
Let's look at from your own sector. You're from the banking financial institution. Someone watching us now or listening to us who's into one aspect of tourism or one aspect of hospitality, who's been badly hit. I mean, we saw big companies in the hospitality industry go bankrupt. We saw them shut down. So someone listening now, having someone who's from the financial institution here, would be wondering, how can I leverage on programs or projects or facilities that are available from financial institutions? What products do you have for people, stakeholders in the tourism industry?
Okay, so as a financial institution, just like you mentioned, I head tourism business, tourism and creative sector for Sterling Bank. And our objective is actually to create financial and economical offering for people in that industry, and of course for consumers. We know that average Nigerians are very adventurous. We love to travel. Most people are actually limited because of funds. What goes well for people abroad is because they're able to plan their income. And most of the things they do is on credit. But we have this mindset in Nigeria that, oh, taking loan is a bad thing. No, it's not. But you're just able to actually leverage on your income and have some disposable cash with you while you're using the bank funds. So as a bank, we've created travel loans. We've created, because we know that the world is evolving, we have to digitalize a lot of things. So we're creating an e-commerce platform where we aggregate the whole ecosystem of tourism, a platform where you can actually book your ticket, aggregate all of the tour companies, you can onboard as a vendor and begin to sell your packages. We know that we have different travel agents that sell different packages. Most of these people sell on Instagram or WhatsApp or anything, but we're creating this e-commerce platform. We will expose this platform to the people in the diaspora and to Nigerians consumers, you know.
So how affordable are these packages? Because everyone has I know that every financial institution has their
I think
own.
it will be dependent on the vendor.
Yes.
Dependent on the vendor and the kind of trip you want to go to.
Okay, so is it just for the vendor, also for the
traveler? For both.
Okay.
Because you as a consumer, which of course you're the traveler, you can take loan to buy your package from the platform.
It's very simple and clear terms. What I hear you say is that Sterling Bank is creating a platform for stakeholders, enthusiasts, and users of tourism platforms to come together, avail your customers with this service, that is as a vendor or maybe an agent, travel agency,
both ways,
and then the customer can get some kind of grant or facility or loan
Yes,
from
soft
Sterling
loan,
Bank
exactly.
to facilitate
Yes.
their travel.
At
Wow.
a very, very
Interesting.
reasonable rate. Yeah.
You know, what comes to mind is the fact that with people, I thought about it. I prefer, if I'm traveling, I prefer to pay instantly. I don't want to travel. I'm just saying, looking at the minds of people.
I know.
And then having to pay
No,
later.
but if it's convenient, like, oh, and I'm not paying, like, I'm not paying any form of interest. If I'm paying interest, it's very, very insignificant. So why can't I just pay within 3 months or 6 months and have enough money to shop or something, or, you know?
Now, what are you doing to people like the Federation of Tourism Association? Or why don't you, or let me not even say why don't you, assuming that you are not, you know, reaching out. Has your company or has your institution thought of reaching out to these individuals aside from the product you're creating? Because I read in the news that the Federation of Tourism Association of Nigeria, FTAN, had called on the federal government to assist business owners in the tourism industry with funds to reduce the impact of COVID-19. And the request was made by Nkerue Onu, the national president of FTAN. Now, you are already creating an avenue for a customer like me, as someone who wants to travel and I need funds to facilitate my trip. But the vendor himself or the vendor company itself, how are you reaching out to them to, you know, give them some kind of a lifting or a boosting for their companies?
In fact, FTAN is one of our key customers, because we don't only target customers, individual customers. We target association because it's easier to add value for a registered association as a bank.
Okay.
However, tourism is actually a business, and we should say it as such. Financial institution is actually in business to make profits because they're trading with depositors' fund. So the main goal is to actually, there's difference between grants, which is free money. But when you want to do business, don't leverage on free money anyway, because if it's business, do you have a business model, you know? So let it run properly like a business, and you will scale.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's difference between the financial institution kind of fund and the kind of funding they're looking at from the government, which is basically maybe grants or free money.
All right.
Know?
So to hold your question, we have our first caller who is calling us from Abuja. We have Peace. Peace is calling us from Abuja. Welcome to the show, Peace. What's your contribution on the show today? Okay, we lost Peace callers. Please call back. Numbers to call would be up on your screen. We'd like to hear your thoughts. We're talking about World Tourism Day. What do we do to revamp the tourism industry? We've got Abiola Delano in the studio. She is the tourism business manager for Sterling Bank, and Lagos State is doing something about tourism. But before I get to that, Tolu, you were about to ask.
I was going to ask specifically because medical tourism is a thing now. It's not even a thing. It's popular. A lot of people are going abroad for tourism because they do not believe in the healthcare system here in Nigeria. So is that also part of the offerings in your package?
Okay, my focus is domestic tourism.
Okay.
I want to sell Nigeria to the world, you know. So what we have, like I said, I think we need to leverage on what we have. When we talk about medical tourism, we don't have probably the Western medical facilities. But I know so many people travel from abroad to visit the likes of Osun Osogbo to get some water. You know, just like some people visit Morocco, there's this place in Marrakech that you have to pay some money so that you pray on money and slip it in. Then you need to know the number of people that visit this particular tourist attraction in Marrakech. Yes. So people pay to go and pray. Why can't we monetize all of these things that we have in Nigeria? I mean, even looking at because some people will say, oh, they visit Osun Osogbo and they get water and they are able to conceive and what's it called? The different things that we have like that we don't value because we think, I was watching the Queen's burial ceremony a few weeks back, and I saw, by the way, Queen Elizabeth is the heir.
Hold your thoughts, please. We'll get back to that story.
Okay.
Victor is calling us from Port Harcourt. Victor, I apologize for holding you for too long. What's your contribution on the show?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Victor. Turn down the volume of your TV.
My TV volume is down already.
Fantastic. Let's have your contribution, Victor.
Well, my part of the contribution is there are other good tourism places here in Nigeria Delta too, where where people have carnivals during the Xmas period, like, people, they play some masquerades and stuff. People come from far and wide, even from the UK, to witness it in America and go back. So I don't know if there's a way the lady that does the tourism stuff from Sterling Bank, can come and play some role. There's a body that we have already, Otopo Connect, that is already putting a package together on me. So if there's a way you can let us know how we can access the loan and make it work.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Keep watching the show, and I guess you would hear more information. You were going to drop a thought on
You want me to react to what he just
Yes, I think you should react
to what he just said, because I know that we are always quick to say, oh, Nigeria, there's this issue of insecurity and everything. I know one of my customer that is big on inbound tourism. It brings people from abroad, and where people actually like to visit is at the mostly northern area. And a typical Nigerian won't want to ever visit the north. Most of the tourist attractions in Nigeria are domiciled in the north.
You can say so.
And these white people, they don't want to sleep in a hotel. They don't want to sleep in any three-star hotel. They want to sleep inside a hut. They want to experience the nature.
I think it's because of the preservation of their cultural heritage.
They pay in foreign currency to book for all of these things. So there's money in this space.
Yeah, but Victor was asking, how can his company now get access to what you're offering
in the south, right? Yeah, you can always reach out to us. You can always just walk into any Sterling Bank in its location.
Okay, so we don't derail from your last line of thought. Okay. You were going to drop a thought on the monarchy.
So I was saying that we should leverage on what we have. We should not focus on what we don't have. We can only improve on what we don't have. But there are some things that we have that is working for us. We have our culture. We have our heritage. We have what some people are craving for. Some Brazilian believes in all of those things that we call juju here. Me, I'm a Christian anyway, but the people that believes in this thing, it works for them, and people believes in them. So I was saying that Queen Elizabeth was the head of Anglican Communion Church, who is a Christian. But when she was being buried, I saw them holding a white ram or goat or something, meaning that they cherish their culture and they preserve their culture. These are the people that brought Christianity to Nigeria, and we practically want to forget all of our culture and see it as fetish, So
I think he mentioned something about insecurity. I think that's still the main point.
Insecurity is a challenge, and that's why I try to shy away from saying all of these things when I'm on here, because I really don't want to discourage people from coming to Nigeria. We all know that insecurity is everywhere in the world.
How can people get the value for saving for tourism?
So and that is why we are rethinking tourism, even for stakeholders in this space. Let it be worth your while. If I'm visiting a La Campagne Tropicana or any nice resort in Nigeria, let it be what their standard. The basic, starting from the food, from the ambience, let it be worth a while for people to come to visit, actually, so that they get value for their money.
Okay, so I think we have a caller who is live to us. Okay, we lost that call. Now, I would say, I would want to know if, aside from reaching out to vendors, companies, people who are tourist enthusiasts, what is your company doing to see that there is adequate projection of these tourist attractions? Because saying you're creating a platform where she is a vendor, comes and I am a customer, we meet, and then Sterling Bank is the onboard master who would make my trip very light for me in terms of finance. But beyond that, what are you doing in terms of projection, projecting these things and these areas you've spoken about?
So talking about projection, so beyond just creating platform, we know that there's a lot of people in this sector that are doing so well, but they are not known due to probably lack of education, lack of exposure, and they are being exploited by people that are more advanced. For example, there are people in Iseyin that produce this ashoke, and these people have been doing this thing for years. They are poor.
There's also Adire in Abeokuta.
Yeah, their children cannot even inherit this kind of business. Meanwhile, you see some people on Instagram being creative with these Ashoke plus Adire, and they're making a whole lot of money. They're even exporting out of the country, earning foreign currency. Meanwhile, the people producing it are just there and they remain poor. What we've done is to actually create some awareness for them and sensitize them and help them rebrand their products. Because product is all about branding anyway. The same Adire that some people sell for 10,000 naira, some people can sell it for 100,000, 1 million naira, depending on how you brand it.
So that question,
you know?
what you just said comes to mind. Now I think that a lot of these local people, because they're the hub of tourism, they don't even have access to financial
They don't,
institutions.
and that is the gap we are bridging. We are meeting them. And that is our own role as financial institution. We are not just after bring your money to the bank. Banking has gone beyond come and take loan or you have to add value to your customer. So we need to understand the space, know the problem, and provide those solutions.
So in Sterling Bank, I'm sure definitely they're going from city to city to just kind of propagate nationwide, propagate this message. Because I just thought of it. I mean, look at Abeokuta, you have the Adire. Look at Oyo State, you have all these people, and they're the ones who create this product that are sold abroad, but at the same time they don't have access to loans. They want to be able to produce these products en masse to sell to other countries, and that's where you come in. So what is that?
We've been doing that actually. Okay. So Sterling Bank started this just less than 2 years. We know tourism wasn't a thing in Nigeria before. It's actually a sector that people don't believe in, you know. But we know that where there's problems lies opportunities. And when people think, oh, okay, this sector is having issue, if you're smart enough, that's where you have to prefer solution, and that's where you make your money from. Yeah.
Okay. Now, this platform you're creating and facility you're availing customers of Sterling Bank and otherwise, throw some light on it in the sense that I do know that one aspect that has bedeviled people's application for visa abroad, whether it is for school, whether it is for tourism, visitation, whatever it is, has been the lack of funds. Most times you'd hear the embassy say that they have not been able to prove their financial capabilities to maintain or sustain themselves while in these foreign lands. Would this, your project or product, would it present itself like a
I don't want to be part of people that will encourage people to leave my country. So
well, we're not talking about
people that want to
we're talking about visitation and all.
Visitation. I'm not sure that you have an issue with visa if you have a good job. I'm not sure. I really don't get
I think
what the issue is.
What usually happens is that sometimes if you don't have a certain amount of money in your account, they will deny you a visa.
They will deny you on the grounds of not having enough funds. Now, if Sterling Bank is behind me, I don't want to speak for you. I'm saying if Sterling Bank is behind me from that platform, that I'm getting facility from Sterling Bank to finance my trip abroad, would it make it easier for me to get a visa? That's the question.
I really can't speak to that. I really can't speak to that.
I think at this juncture we need to take a very quick break. When we return, our guests will still be here, put final words to this part, and then we'll go into trending. Stay with us. Welcome back. We'd like to apologize to Nabat Shuaibu, who called from Akwa Ibom State. Nabat, we held you there for too long and lost your call. I don't know if we can squeeze in your call if you call back, but we apologize for holding you there. Before we go into our trending, I'd like to have your final word on this World Tourism Day, Lagos State, Sterling Bank, the collaboration, and all that before we go into our next segment of the show.
Okay, so I would like to say Happy World Tourism Day to all of us because we are all celebrating Tourism Day. And I would like to charge us that we should be visionary. All of us are leaders, and when we're talking about visionary leaders, we should not just point at our leaders, because the change actually starts with us, from organization, from government. Let's have genuine love for each other, because when our leaders really have this genuine love for their citizens, they will do things in the right way.
To promote
most people don't want to buy jets and all of that. They just want to live a decent life. People, an average person should be able to go on vacation as a norm.
It
should not be a luxury.
Especially with the cost of
you know,
flying
it
now,
should not.
Thank
you know.
you.
But then because of time, I think.
Yes, running out of time. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Abiola Adelano for coming in. She's the tourism business manager of Sterling Bank. Saying World Tourism Day with the theme, I think it will be right if we say World Tourism, Happy World Tourism Day. You say rethinking tourism. So can we do that? Happy World Tourism Day.
Rethinking tourism.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, let's go right into our trending. This is a segment of the show where we bring you some stories that are making the rounds, trending. Kika would like to call them some stories that bind us all. And then I'd like to refer to it as stories that interest us the most. And top on my list on our trending story is students of secondary schools are currently protesting in the streets of Bauchi over a new policy by the government to separate boys from girls. Students officially resumed school yesterday across the state, and it was reported that the State Commissioner for Education, Mr. Aliyu Tilde, said the state government had concluded plans to separate male from female, and they took to the streets to say, what is this? Kilo Shele. What do you make of this, Tolu?
I'm surprised because I know in secondary schools, the unity schools, this was something that was, the girls' school and the boys' school. But I believe the boys are not happy for certain reasons best known to them. They're tired of the girls being on their own. But I think that the old system needs to be dealt away with. It's time for immersion. It's very important. I think for a healthy, I just feel for a healthy.
No. So don't get it twisted. You see, these guys have always been together, and the government now, without even informing their parents, without even informing the students, now came to say, look, to stem the tide of immorality, we would like
That's what we're saying.
And to look, this is a place where child marriage is prevalent.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a place where you'll be celebrated for marrying a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, and then the government comes to say, oh no, because of immorality, we want to separate you guys.
But you also find that, sorry, I'm sure you're going to say something. So social interaction is very important, especially with growing teenagers. I know that there are better reasons why the government is saying that, but at the same time, it's very important you have boys and girls together for social interaction. I know the immorality can be
education is very important. They need to sensitize them why they are taking that action. Yeah. Just like raising a teenager. If you're just saying, no, don't go out with this boy, don't talk, don't let them touch you, and you're not telling the implication, they won't take it.
Did you go to an all-girls school or?
No, I went to a mixed school.
I went to,
and I was better off for it.
You are co-ed. Now, would you say a unitary or rather all-girls school or all-boys school is better than co-ed?
I'm not an advocate for all girls or all boys school. I'm
an advocate for co-ed.
For co-ed, yeah.
Personally, with the experience I went through the girls' school, I think co-ed is good right now. And you think you're exposing them to things you think you don't want to expose them to, they're exposed to it, even than the average adults. Honestly, so these are the issues.
Yeah. For me, I'd say this. I'd say to the government that they should rather look inwards before they come out with certain policies. I think it would have been very noble if they had tried to also stem the tide of child marriage, because that's something the world over, has been a menace, and every country, every organization, every agency, every ministry should preach against because of the adverse effects of child marriage. So there you have it. I think our phone lines are open. I hear Moses say, so if you want to contribute on that, you can feel free to call us in. While we go right into our second trending story, we've got ASUU strike. Federal government makes U-turn, withdraws directive to VCs to reopen varsities. The federal government has withdrawn its earlier directive to vice-chancellors, chairmen of governing council and pro-chancellors of public universities to reopen the schools for academic activities. Now, the withdrawal was contained in the circular by the National University Commission and UC Monday evening. The circular, with reference number and certain things, read that the court judgment and enforcement of order of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria in the suit between ASUU and the federal government was in favor of the federal government, and as such, they directed ASUU
to withdraw. To step back.
I think they wanted to make ASUU look bad. By the way,
as it is now, inevitable. They need to open the schools. It's been too long.
It's too long. But how will these guys cope? Their parents, they are somebody's fathers, they're somebody's mothers. How are they supposed to survive, for crying out loud? Are we saying that we cannot pay these people?
I mean, look at the recent level of money that was stolen, that has been stolen. You can't use some of the money, and I think that even the Abacha loot money, I'm just saying, they can reuse some of that money, settle ASU, even though I know that there's some sort of...
Do we value education? So if we value education, we are supposed to hold them like, we are supposed to treat them like a very important personality in the nation.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're not getting it wrong. All wrong. The story is not really about ASU strike and how far it's lingered. But the story is on the, yes, I like the way you did it. The fact that there was a directive, hey guys, we've won the case, go back and open up the universities. And all of a sudden say, oh, hold on. You know, as against our initial directive.
Came back and everybody like, what the hell are you guys doing?
You know, there was a stern directive asking the vice chancellors and pro-vice chancellors and directors of governing councils to open the universities and ensure that lectures commence immediately.
I know there's also a court order to that regard.
And do you think they're going to actually do that? So with the court order.
My question now is, who is trying to play smart in this situation? That's my question now.
It seems there's a confusion in the seat of power, you know, as to where... one question is, where is the message and directive coming from? Who is giving the orders? Why is there no clear-cut understanding as to what the directive should be?
Well, I don't know.
It tells about leadership. Everything actually boils down to leadership. And this clearly shows the kind of leaders that is leading us. And that is why we need to vote rights this time around.
I feel like if it was a more aggravated situation, ASU, they would have opened the universities. It's just because they are playing smart. That's, for me personally, the situation is just playing smart.
Do you think they should open the university without receiving their payment?
They should get paid. But you know that this is not an issue. It's not today's issue. There have been years and years of going back and forth with the federal government. And even till now, we are still saying they will open. In the next 6 months, they will come back again with the same issues. As
at yesterday and the day before, Nigerians had taken to social media to lament. And I read some Nigerians say, look, we're not going back to school. In fact, one person who called in on phone, telephone into a program on radio was saying that he wouldn't go back to school until he has waited at home and seen that the lectures have commenced up until like a month before going back to school. This is because these students had gone back at some time, paid their rent, you know, spent transportation, and nothing happened, and all that money went to waste. If it were to be in other climes, you'd find the government giving out some form of palliative to say, look, for the, you know, spoils you had last time, you know, I hope this compensates for all that. But we don't have the federal government even talking about the plight of the students themselves.
Like we said, we're always on autopilot in Nigeria when it comes to
last minute, and there's no love. They don't care about the citizens.
But the educational system, and like you said,
and it's smiling, like we use the word love, like we see it as an unserious word, but everything actually boils into love. If our leaders have the heart of love, like Dubai, the vision of Dubai is actually to make all citizens very comfortable.
Abiola, it wouldn't have been any better, you know, but having you here was very fantastic. And I must say, you had my eyes glued to your dress, and those, I don't know what to call them.
They're called feathers.
The feathers, yeah.
And it's made by Nigerian designer, by the way.
I'd like to say a very big thank you for coming, Abiola Adelano, the tourism business manager of Sterling Bank. I hear that we're closing this show with Shribu, who is calling us from Akwa Ibom State. 1 minute, Shribu, let's have your contribution.
Thank you, it's okay. Thank you.
ASU strike, ASU strike.
That's his own contribution.
All right then. Okay, he understands the importance of time. Tolu, I want to say, well, I didn't think that it was going to, I knew it was going to be nice, but not this nice. It was really fantastic.
That compliment. It was also nice. I mean, you get into all the issues and topics at World Tourism Day too. So thank you for having me as your guest host on this show too.
Thank you, guys.
Come again next time.
Thank you.
And yes, you too, Adelano. Come again next time.
Yes, I'll do.
Well, there you have it. My name is Marshall Anthony Onoye, and I'd like to remind us that 28th of September, Nigerian government and INEC has said campaigns, the ban or embargo on campaigns will be lifted tomorrow. Go out and campaign without being abusive, without, I mean, remember that these guys you're campaigning for, I mean, they're friends.
They're friends.
You don't need to be abusive. You don't need to war or jaw. Okay? Just do the talk and ensure that you do the right thing. God bless you. Join us again on Thursday.